Hi there, welcome to Kneppy Invest. I'm always looking for situations when the shift or the sentiment in a company shifts from negative to positive. And typically that shift in sentiment can happen quite gradually and slowly, but sometimes it happens so quickly that you can't take a breath because the share price of a company can increase 47% in 4 days when this shift in sentiment happens. And that's exactly what happened with Pointerra between September 14 and 17. In fact, the last time I did a video on Pointerra was August the 24th, and the sentiment in the company at that point in time was probably the most negative it has been for at least a few years. In this video, I am going to discuss potential reasons and catalysts behind the re-rating in the share price over the past 4 trading days from September 14. Also discuss reasons why I came away from an interview with Managing Director Ian Olson more impressed with the company. And in fact, it made me think I should take even more of a position in this company. So let's get stuck into this video, and I'm going to actually go back in time and look at the last time I did a video on Pointerra just to give you some perspective in this sudden shift in sentiment. What is capitulation and what does it mean? The best way to look at capitulation is just imagine that you have quite a few friends who bought into Pointerra a few years ago at like 1 or 2 cents, 3 cents, and the share price of Pointerra had risen by 30-fold since then. And finally, this friend has decided to buy some Pointerra shares when the share price was like 90 cents. So they don't quite have the conviction that their friends have in this company. And then as soon as they buy in at 90 cents, the share price starts dropping and it just continually drops. And the psychology and the emotional effect this has on this shareholder is quite significant. And when August 23rd rolls around, they see the share price is down 7% on high volume, no news, and they just can't handle it anymore. They just have to sell out. This is capitulation. When you get a rush of shareholders, just like this person who has low conviction, they have seen the share price drop over an extended period of time and just have to sell out because it is a relief. So just selling out at a loss is a relief because they fear the share price might drop even further from there. And capitulation is a possible sign that the share price of a company has reached its bottom. Unfortunately, it's hard to discern whether a one trading day is capitulation until you get some confirmation. I do think we have that confirmation with Pointerra at this point in time. I decided just to go to Hot Copper forums just to see what the general mood is in regards to Pointerra on this day. So I was just looking at some of the comments that were released on this day, and it was surprising that a lot of the posters saw this as an opportunity to buy more shares of Pointerra at lower prices, and there were quite a few investors like that. But you also saw some posters who thought this was potential bad news lingering in the future. And it is all based off psychology. When you see the share price drop by a significant amount on one trading day on high volume, you just instinctively think that possibly there is some bad news that they are not aware of, and that's the reason some shareholders are getting out, because they want to get out before that bad news is released. And there were a few posters who thought that. For instance, will be interesting if this turns out to be a leaky ship. Someone else said, such a big sell-off on no news at any price. Looks like somebody knows something we don't and is getting out. I picked up a small amount with the drop, but it looks concerning. Someone else, this massive dump nearly warrants a trading halt. To ask what on earth is going on behind the scenes. The volume spike is very interesting. Someone else saw it as an opportunity to sell out their shares because the share price wasn't going to drop even further. I'm so angry I needed some coin today and had to sell my position after 1.5 years of holding. My other stocks are doing well, so this was unfortunately my only choice. Hopefully I can re-enter at a later stage, and more than likely they sold out at the low. And it is hard to know where that low is. It's almost impossible to time buying and selling, and that's why I tend to prefer just to buy and hold companies that I do think have the potential to grow in the future, because it's really hard to time the lows and the highs. I have found that personally, and unfortunately maybe this shareholder found that as well. Also, another comment, very interesting comment: people panic, sell like sheep. And this is what can happen. Anything is possible. And that's definitely true. When people see the share price dropping quite quickly on no news, they will panic sell. It's the complete opposite to FOMO, fear of missing out. When people see the share price rising quite quickly, they rush in to buy. And the complete opposite, when people see the share price dropping quite quickly, they rush to sell. And that is a sign, or a possible sign, of capitulation. Trading in Pointerra shares between the 24th of August and the 13th of September was quite orderly. In fact, the share price low in this period was 35 cents on the 24th of August, and then we did see the share price get as high as 40 cents about a week later, and then just drift slowly down until the end of closing on the 13th of September, when the shares of Pointerra finished at 36.5 cents. No sign of a shift in sentiment during this period, 3-week period, because we had seen the share price remain lower than the 50-day and 20-day moving average. We want to see a significant rise in share price on higher volume, preferably on some good financial news. Then 14th of September rolled around, and on this day, Pointerra were presenting at the ASX Small and Mid Cap Conference. In preparation for them presenting at this conference, the company released a corporate presentation on at 8:44 a.m. that was not marked market or price sensitive. Now, a few years ago, actually quite a few years ago, I wanted to know who determines whether an announcement from a company is marked price or market sensitive. Is it the company themselves, or is it the ASX? And in fact, it's both. So the company recommends whether an announcement should be price or market sensitive, and then the ASX actually confirms that. So more than likely, Pointerra would have recommended that this presentation should not be or shouldn't be market sensitive, and the ASX actually agreed. Now, that's the way it was quite a few years ago. It might have changed by now, but that does make sense that the company itself recommends and then the ASX confirms. So what Pointerra was suggesting to the ASX and to us, the investor, that there was no new news in this presentation. They were just trying to sell the Pointerra story to investors out there who had not heard of this company and who were not investors. Pointerra were going to present at this conference at 1:30 p.m. And it was really interesting, the trading on this day, because the market loved this presentation. We saw the share price rise on open. So the market loved something in this presentation. And when I read the presentation, I saw nothing new in there. The only thing I did notice was it seemed a little bit different. It seemed a little bit more polished. Maybe they hired some new marketing people, because it was a little bit more professional. Maybe that's the best way to put it. And then at about 1:30 to 2 p.m, we saw another pop in the share price, and that was when Pointerra presented at this conference. And a few days later, I actually did watch an interview that Olson, the managing director, gave to Proactive, a 6-minute interview, and I actually came away from that interview quite impressed. In fact, I'm going to talk about that interview later in this video. How did the market react to Pointerra presenting at the ASX conference? Well, the share price rose 26% in one trading day on pretty high volume. In fact, the volume may not have been as high as that big down day, 12.5% on August 23rd, but it was the highest trading day we have seen on an up day since April of this year. And the share price closed at 46 cents, and that is higher than the 50-day moving average. And that is promising that there is a potential shift in sentiment, but we do need confirmation. And it is promising that this long-term downtrend, or maybe we should say medium-term downtrend, is potentially coming to an end. But we can see false breakouts like we saw in July of this year, when the share price did rise from 45 cents to about 52 cents, and the share price briefly went above the 50-day moving average. And then the share price just fell off a cliff in the next few weeks. But when the share price did rise in that false breakout, there was no volume. The market wasn't interested, which is different than what we saw on September the 14th. And even if we go back to April this year, we saw the share price rise from about 52 cents all the way up to 78 cents. It did look really promising at that point in time. But when the company released the March quarter Appendix 4C, we saw the share price drop from 78 cents to 62 cents. And that put a break to that potential breakout in the share price at that point in time. So let's have a look to see what Pointerra shares did in the next 3 trading days. The following 3 trading days did look very promising. September 15, the share price actually did drop, and more than likely that was some profit taking, and it was also more than likely some shareholders who had bought in at higher prices the previous 3 or 4 months and saw that opportunity to sell out at even, not at a loss, because they think this company is a dog stock because the share price had been dropping. Just a psychology thing. That doesn't mean the company is a dog stock. It's just the way some investors' minds work. And then the last 2 trading days of the week, the share price did rocket up from about 42, 43 cents to a close on the last trading day at a share price of 53.5 cents. And the good thing was on that last trading day, the share price closed at the high of the day and was at the share price that we saw at the previous high in July of this year. So it looks like we might be seeing a higher high, and that is promising moving forward, that this potential downtrend we have seen over the past 8 months is coming to an end, and the shift in sentiment has rapidly changed from negative to positive. We just have to wait now over the next week to see if we can maintain this momentum. If we see the share price drop 20 or 30% in the next week, that would not be good. Preferably, I'd like to see the share price just consolidate, go sideways, take a bit of a breather, take out all those profit takers, take out all those shareholders who had bought in 4 or 5 months ago at these prices, let them sell out. And the good thing is we have seen higher volume during those 4 trading days. And that means there is some interest in the market at even these current share prices. What was in the presentation that caused excitement in the market? And we know it was a presentation that saw the share price rise because Pointerra presented at 1:30 p.m. and the share price started to take off well before that. In fact, it took off at open of trading on September the 14th. Now, this is the front page of their presentation. And as soon as I saw this front page, it just looked a little bit different. It looked a little bit more professional. And as I went through the presentation, it definitely was a more marketable presentation. It looked better. And I think maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. But sometimes just when you present information that just looks good can be enough to get investors excited. I thought I'd just go through Pointerra's presentation just to see if there's any new information in here that can explain why the share price rose 26% the day they released this and then 47% in the 4 trading days. The first thing I do take away from this presentation is it does seem more professional, easier to read, and they just put all this information in a much more digestible way that someone who's not aware of Pointerra can just look at it and go, aha, this is what the company does. But they haven't presented anything new. For instance, here, they've just listed out all the sectors and industries that they do serve. For instance, survey and mapping, architecture, engineering, construction, utilities, transport, mining, oil and gas, defense and intelligence. We know that. Pointerra shareholders should already know that information. And just look at this information. It's nicely presented. Product breakdown, nice, beautiful. Going through industry use cases, just saying how they can serve all these different areas. Defense and intelligence, situational awareness, mission planning, dynamic in-theater analytics, attack, handheld, Android, tablet enabled. Just Google ATAK and you just see how prolific that is. I think 200,000 users in the military in the United States. Customers examples. So someone who's not aware of Pointerra just can go through these examples to get a better understanding of Pointerra. This is a brilliant presentation, well presented, easy to understand, and it gives great insights into this company. Custom example here, Pointerra Defense Solutions for the modern warfighter. Just have a good read of this and you come away excited about the potential of this company. But again, there's nothing new here. We know all this information. In fact, this page here, financial year 21 full-time review. This is just reviewing what has happened over the past year. ACV growth, 240%. Cash receipts from customers. We already know this information. And in fact, this graph, or this table, they've presented this quite a few times. But again, this is provided in a little bit better way. It's just a little bit slightly enhanced. So again, no new information, but just presented in a more professional way. That's just my opinion. Customer-led growth. Just saying here, 2017, 2021, they're doing what we said we would do. There's no information about what they're going to do in the next 5 years until we say here, 20 to 25, grow, innovate, and stay relevant. But no, not much information here. What our customers tell us, why Pointerra is an investable company. Keep going. And then in the end, no new information there. So maybe, just maybe, some investors out there who haven't really taken notice of Pointerra saw this in presentation and went, wow, this company is going places. That's all I can think of because there was no new information in this presentation. That's not a bad thing, and that is why the company marked this presentation as not market or price sensitive. Although the presentation that the company did release at 8:45 or 44 a.m. to the market was, highly professional. It looked great. For me personally, as an investor in Pointerra, it did not provide any new information to get me overly excited, and that's understandable. The company didn't have to do that. They just want to sell the story and the growth of Pointerra to new investors. But what got me excited was an interview I watched with Olson, the managing director of Pointerra, that he gave Proactive Investors. I'm not sure if this was for the conference itself because it was only 6 minutes long. But this interview did interest me, particularly what he said towards the end of the video in regards to the future of Pointerra moving forward. He was asked whether the company was profitable, and he said no, but we are operational cash flow positive. And in my opinion, a company being operational cash flow positive is more important than being profitable because he stated the reasons why. We want to be self-sustaining. We want to fund our own growth. And to be self-sustaining, you have to be operational cash flow positive. To fund your own growth, you have to be operational cash flow positive. And the very fact that the focus and the priorities of management in Pointerra are aligned to the things I look for in investable companies did excite me. The other thing that Olson also pointed out was they are achieving operating leverage this year into financial year 23. So he started talking about costs. So even though costs will increase, they're going to hire more staff, more salespeople. So even though costs will increase, the increase in cash receipts and revenue will be at a greater rate than the cost. That is operating leverage. And he actually mentioned we'll be seeing this in financial year 22, and we're already in financial year 22. So more than likely, Pointerra will become increasingly operational cash flow positive during this financial year and over the next few years as well. That is all I have for this Pointerra video. looking at the reasons why the share price did rise 47% in 4 trading days. If you do have any thoughts about Pointerra, if you're a shareholder in this company, and maybe you can give some more insight to why the share price did increase, why the market loved this presentation from Pointerra. I'd love to hear your thoughts, because maybe I missed something. I am only human. The last thing I should say is I'm not a financial advisor. If you do need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for this video. Have a good day. Bye.